you would have, how many people would you accommodate at a time, or groups of people?
Sure. Well, I have a whole second floor, which I can probably split those into another 2 more rooms, but I'll say at least three to five families, you know, and I also have a apartment out back and food out back, you know. I want to make it public to everybody. I'm trying to turn it to a place where people want to come to Kentwood, you know. When they hear about Kentwood, it's a gas station and it's a Popeye, you know, and a Sonic. We want to try to bring the attention here, you know. That's how you have your avenue, your money, you know, coming in. And I'm assuming this is what it's all about, to, you know, bring in money and evolve around, right? Am I wrong?
Well, that's good. What you think about, if you don't do that, you want to put a restaurant or something in there? Or?
I may start with an Airbnb first.
Yeah, but I'm just want to be sure if you don't do something that's commercial, that you can do whatever you want to there. It's commercial.
If that's the plan, if it goes commercial, I want to have that power, that veto to say whatever business is there, you know? Yes?
I was going to address the council. What are the rules and restrictions with regard if we allow this private home, correct? And I know exactly where you are. It's a big, beautiful home. But if we allow this to go to commercial, is there some sort of specific commercial that it's allowed? What's to stop it from, say, becoming something else? It is a big, beautiful home, but if it's commercial, what's it to stop from turning into 16 apartments?
Right, I agree with that.
Where are the limitations?
That's what I'm wondering too, is how commercial are you talking about?
Well, I thought I spelled it out. I just wanted to simply do a Airbnb. So it wouldn't be, like you said, 16 apartment or, you know, people living there and turning into a, you know, a mess over there. That's not the point. The point is to, you know, build the community up around this house that's still standing. This house has been here. The oldest house is, come on now, it's down, it's going downhill. I don't even know why is it still up, but not up to me. My house is not going to do that. So I honor this house.
Question for you. But don't you have the house for sale? Isn't
Yes.
it listed with a realtor?
It is. Yes.
So this is for,
This
not for you, but for
it's potentially
any...
for me or potentially for anyone else who want to come in. I want to give them the freedom to do it as well. So I want to begin the process for me so that they do not have to come through this process.
But how do you know what somebody else might want? Just a question.
Because more opportunities, I'm just putting more opportunities on the table for the next family who may come in to Kentwood.
I'm just concerned about the part of making a commercial property that commercial, there's lots of stuff you could do with it. You put it in the middle of residential. What keeps everybody else from wanting to do theirs commercial and have little commercial spots all over town?
Yeah. So what's the difference between my property and the properties around me that are being rented out? What is the
Well,
difference
that's what I'm saying.
there?
If you're doing like an Airbnb, that's fine. But doing just general commercial, to do whatever you want is just what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. Normally, Airbnb is centralized in places where there's a lot of activity, tourism.
Right.
There's no tourism here. So would it open up as an Airbnb? That would be my concern. Would it turn into something else? Because there's nothing here to attract people to want to come to Kentwood at this point.
Right. Exactly.
So that would be my
How do you begin
concern.
that? How do you begin that process to get people to want to come out from the outside in, like, where to start and how did that look?
The White Magnolia, which is located right outside of Kentwood. It's a big wedding venue. They had people coming all over to our venue to have weddings. there's people that come, that are always looking for places to stay. I know this because I used to be an Uber for her, and I would have to go to Hammond or Amy to pick up these people from these hotels, bring them back out here to her venue, and then wait till it's over and drive them back to Hammond or Amy or whatever hotel they were at. That would be a great idea when you're saying that you want to bring business to Kentwood. Callie and her husband have done an awesome job out there. They've put a lot into that. And it would be convenient for women. But if it, like they're all saying as well, you have to weigh the pros and cons.
I definitely understand their concerns, I really do. But I'm trying to figure out how do the beginning look? What is that image so I can be a part of it, So.
Mr. George?
I think we're really talking about two things, just so you understand what some of these comments are. There's a concern among a lot of people here that if you just zone it commercial, you have the power you were talking about a minute ago, so that you never have to come back here. And you can do anything you want with that property that's allowed under the commercial zone, which is quite a lot.
Right.
And a lot of the uses, I'm sure many of the people in this room would have a problem with if you converted that house to that use.
Okay.
That's exacerbated by the fact that you're trying to sell it. As Michelle pointed out a minute ago, you can make a wonderful presentation for an Airbnb and I might support you. But when you sell it to Mr. Smith and he comes in and he wants to make it something else, there's nothing that we have that's going to restrict that.
Okay.
And so that's the concern. Whether you want to go to a full-blown commercial zoning or be allowed to have an Airbnb. I think if you could address that for me, that's what I'd be interested in knowing. Do you want the full-blown commercial or do you just want to do an Airbnb?
I personally will like it to be commercial, but if I can start with the Airbnb, I'm fine with that. I'm fine. I just need some power over my property because I'm trying my best to take the necessary steps that my other fellow neighbors around me are not doing. I'm trying to do the right things. And listen, I don't care about what they're doing or not. The reality is, I'm here, I'm presenting, and what else? I got to figure out what is going to help myself as well as help this town. So.
Any more questions?
I have another one. Bruce, what specifically is in the ordinance about Airbnbs or,
We don't have anything on it at all.
okay, I didn't think so.
And we could do an ordinance that would let you put a B&B in a residential area.
Right, so maybe that
That'd
would
take a month and
be
a half or whatever to go through the process,
the step that would solve, I think, a lot of the questions that we have, where it wouldn't be just full-blown open commercial and be restricted to an Airbnb, bed and breakfast, in a specific zoning.
So is the Kent house commercial? Is that a commercial house?
No.
It is? Okay. Oh. Okay.
Bruce, with there being nothing in the ordinances currently, what exactly is stopping him from doing it anyways and making it a B&B?
It's single-family residence. That's what.
Okay.
Zoning.
Yeah, I understand the concern with making it a commercial property, because that basically, if anyone else buys it, they're free to do whatever they want with it. There are also some other municipalities that have faced this issue, I guess if you could call it that, to where they've just presented the current owner a variance to run a B&B at that location. But once their business, I guess, has ended at that location, you can't just go and open up another commercial lot there. So I think that would be the best route to go right now, just possibly put together a variance for his property, just so we aren't locked into making it a commercial building afterwards. And also that would serve to not legitimize, I guess, unofficial commercial ventures that you've spoken about before.
Okay.
So should I speak now or wait?
Oh, you won't wait. We'll have a recommendation by the board later.
Gotcha.
So. me, that's it. I just simply want to go commercial. If I can. So. That's it?
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
The Town of Kentwood Council meeting will now be called to order at 6 p.m. February 3rd, 2022. We have prayer by Councilman Hookman, pledge by Councilman Calvin. Please stand.
Oh God, how excellent is thy name. We thank you for this day, God. This is the day that you have made. Let us rejoice and be exceedingly glad. God, we thank you for the town of Kentwood. God, we thank you for this nation as a whole. God, continue to lead and guide us in the way that we should go. God, bless this meeting tonight, God. We ask your special prayer upon our mayor, this council board, our citizens of Kentwood, God. Continue to lead us, God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Cookman,
Here.
Cooper,
Here.
Diamond, Callahan, Winters. Public is invited to have public input on agenda items, 2 minutes per agenda item. Must be recognized by the chair before speaking. Item number 1, approved minutes of last month's meeting.
So moved.
Correction.
By Councilman Cooper.
Mayor,
Did she put a new copy?
did she?
Donisha, did you put a new copy out here for the?
Oh, you did? Did this the correction?
Look at the bottom. It's on the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
There was one item which was number 7, I believe, on last month's agenda that was left out of the copy of the minutes that was sent to the council members. That has been corrected, and you have a corrected copy on your desk.
It's been moved by Councilman Cooper, seconded by Councilman Hookman to approve the minutes of last month's meeting. Any questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 2, financial reports submitted to council members electronically.
I have a few questions on this one. So, okay, so I don't know what page this would be on. Page 1, okay. Under January of 2022, it shows gas sales 0, sewer charges 0, water sales 0. Why are there no values entered for those when there were values entered in January of 2021?
The financial records haven't been updated. Bruce Harrell has lost a couple of employees, and he's behind on making those entries in our books.
Okay. All right, I'll make a note of that. Also, on the same page, total sewer operating expenses last year was $12,647.64 for that time. Year to date, now it's at negative 84.61. Is that also
Same.
due to
Yes.
clerical error? Okay.
No, it's not an error, it's just not an entry.
That should have said complete.
Oh, there you are, Bruce,
Yeah.
good.
Incomplete.
Didn't see you.
Okay, noted.
When I get, Bruce and I have talked about get together to see what processes we can pick up here in the office, you know, until we get, or he gets his employee situation straightened out. And then when we do, we'll have those filled in, hopefully before next month.
Okay.
Item number 3, Gene Tallow with Waste Pro.
Okay, we're getting ready to come to the end with our contract with Land Waste, and Mr. Tallow came last month and talked with us, and we asked him to come and be on the agenda because we are going to be looking to put that RFP out. So we wanted him to come and talk, and he graciously came. So Mr. Tallow.
Good evening, my name is Jesse Murphy. I'm the Vice President, Division Vice President of Louisiana for Waste Pro. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to come speak. And we brought one of the things we talked about was the technology and camera systems on our trucks. So we brought one of our trucks if anyone wanted to take a look at it. We also brought the software, which we could kind of talk about for a minute, but just tell a little bit about Waste Pro. We're a privately owned waste services company. One of our locations here in Louisiana is located right here in Covington. We currently service commercial, roll-off, and residential. We have quite a few. We have over 400 municipalities that we service in the southeastern United States. Right here in Louisiana, we service the city of Gonzales, Village of Folsom, East Louisiana Parish, Assumption Parish, Plaquemines Parish, and we have service subscription residential here in Tangipahoa and St. Tammany, Livingston, and Ascension. We've well-funded, privately owned company. We invest in our equipment and our employees. We have offer very competitive pay for our employees. We manage their hours, a 4-day work week. So we have a high retention rate in our employees. And again, just wanted to kind of introduce Waste Pro, and we plan on responding to the RFP. Hopefully, we have an opportunity to partner with City of Kentwood. One of the, I know when we did meet, we talked about the technology we use for our routing software. Is Otis, he's one of our drivers that works out of the Covington location. And all of our routes are on a tablet, and every address is put on a tablet, and the driver, when they pull up to the house, has to mark it complete or not complete. That's every single house. And if you get to the house and the trash is not out, then you can put the comments in, and this automatically communicates with our system in the office, which is called Tower, is our software. So it automatically, and the driver actually is able to take a picture of the cans not out, and it automatically uploads to our office. So if a resident or a customer calls in and says, I wasn't serviced today, or whatever, or it might have been whatever the reason, it could be too heavy. They take a picture of it, full with bricks. So we're able to report it back, take the picture. Our CSRs, when they answer the phone call, when they put the address in, they pull up and they're able to see all the information and talk with the resident right there. Well, this is why we couldn't service you. Your can wasn't out in time. We passed that, 6:14 this morning. And so very good technology that we invest in our trucks. All of our trucks are equipped with 5 cameras. We're able to live stream our crew during the day. Our managers and safety team actually log into our camera system and watch our crew work, make sure they're doing everything safe. So we bring a lot of that to the table with the services that we provide. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Are you guys going to accept plastic, metal, like recycling material, anything like that?
Well, we'll pick whatever, as long as it's not hazardous, which none of that's hazardous. If it's in the trash container, we're going to pick it up.
Okay.
As far as recycling, that would have to be something that the city would ask if they wanted us to provide, or if they put that in the RFP that they wanted a price to provide recycling service. Okay. So that's we're going to respond and to the RFP for however the RFP state they want us, which services they want us to respond for.
Well, I'll go recycling.
Any questions?
Would this, it would be for the exact same service that we currently have in town?
Well, when we write the RFP, we can add, delete, as he's saying about the recycling stuff.
Understood, I just meant we're one day currently,
Right.
and there would be one day also, okay. Another question.
Hopefully it'd be better, because they'd be more accountable with their cameras and all the.
Understood. Two questions. Number one, there are employees who are on the truck. These are not fully automated, is that correct?
Well, it's all it depends on the services that the RFP requests. In other words, just to give you an example, some municipalities pick up their own bulk trash outside the carts. So if a municipality does that, then a hauler may choose to run fully automated because they're not responsible for picking up anything on the outside. But it's very difficult to run fully automated if the RFP calls for you to pick up everything.
Understood.
Yeah, so it all depends on what's in the RFP.
Did you have one, Ms. Gordon?
Oh, I did. About the old furniture like couches and chairs, tables, big objects like that.
Again, it's all depends on how the RFP requests, what services the RFP requests.
But you're capable of picking.
Oh, yes, sir. We do have certain areas of municipalities that we pick up everything outside the cart. Some say pick up to 2 yards, some say pick up everything. It all depending on the services that are requested, depends on, of course, the price and what type of equipment or personnel we have to use on the routes.
Okay. Well, Mayor, we have in our contract with them to pick up old couches if you call. If they call here and, get a date or time to come out and get it. Is that what we have with them?
They're not currently with Amways? Yeah.
Yeah, we're Waste Pro. We're not the current hauler. We're hoping to.
It would be quite so nice if they were.
1 second, Mr. Bruce, we had.
He answered.
He answered.
That's what we did.
If you get the contract, we'll be getting new cans in town, but the ones we got are in pretty bad shape.
Yes, well, again, I'm not sure. The containers that are currently here, are they owned by Amways?
Correct.
Then yes, if the RFP stated, regardless, at this point, you would be getting new containers then, because if Amways owns them and we were to come in, then we're going to provide brand new carts. The only way, and it still would be brand new, is if for some reason the city decided that they didn't want to pay a vendor for the carts and they wanted the city want to provide the carts and take that out to RFP. But then if Amways owns them, then either way you would be getting new carts if it's switched from Amways.
And that affects the cost when you get new carts?
Yeah, yes. Well, it does, but it depends on how if you put in the RFP that the carts, which I would suggest you'd put in the RFP, provide new carts, because those carts cost roughly add about $1.50 a month to the price, which you've already paying that right now anyway. But if you don't put that in the RFP, that you have to provide new carts, then whoever you have respond to the RFP doesn't have the advantage of the company doing it because their cart's already in the street. So they can pretty much knock $1.50 off their price from the start, which if any companies coming in, it'd be hard to
I think
compete.
we definitely need new cars.
Yeah, so you definitely would want that in the RFP, and then all the residents get new cars.
I guess the other question related to that would be, what is the estimated life of those cars? And of course, how long is the RFP to recover that?
If they're not mishandled or mistreated, I mean, those cars will last 10+ years. Yeah, it's meaning that if people don't, use them to, yeah, exactly. Just people don't, misuse them, or, I mean, if they're treated, if they're taken care of, and then like a storm's coming or something like that, move them to a safe spot where they're not blowing down the street or tumbling over. I mean, if they're taken care of, they'll last 10 plus
Most of
years.
my problem, my cars, with the trash pickup people throwing it down, they get through, boom, throw it down on the ground.
And that's, I understand, and that's,
Not my problem.
that's a coaching opportunity.
Explain to do what the drivers do, the hoppers do when they pick up. I park in my front. Go ahead.
So when we, cause I'm a driver, so I have my hoppers. When they dump the can, y'all might put it out just the front of the can. So after they dump it, you'll know it be dumped because it turns sideways. So when you come outside, you'll know it's been dumped. Now if it's still turning like this, it had not been dumped. It's like, that means we ain't been down that street yet.
We request our drivers to make sure that our helpers place all the carts a certain way. That helps when supervisors are out in the field. They can just easily ride down the street, and if the carts are turned all one way, then, because homeowners and residents, they don't all put them up exactly the same, but our supervisor can ride down the street and service, because they see all the carts one way.
We have a lot of issues with cans walking down the street. So how do we know that my can is gonna be at my house? We talked about this in the meeting.
Yeah, well.
Don't you have a number on that
Yes,
can and you can match it to my address?
Yes,
Right now we don't have that.
When we purchase the containers, we scan them we'll get an address list from the city. When we deliver that container, we scan that cart, that container. We scan that cart and we attach that number to the address. So if someone say there's, if your container disappears, we might not necessarily be able to find it. But if we'll have a number that we can say, this is your cart number, and if you happen to see it, on your street, because your neighbor has it, we have, that this cart belongs to this address. We're not going to confront someone that look, you got the wrong cart, you took some, but.
No, but the customer can know their number that belongs to them,
yes,
that's
the
attached
customer-
in your system to know it's their can.
Correct, because when we deliver all the carts, when we deliver new carts out for municipality, we scan with the RFID reader, we scan it, and we upload that to that account, to that address.
Right.
So a customer could call up and say, my cart's missing, what's my cart number? We can give them the cart number, and if they want to go ride and look for the person that took the cart, they can.
You got a question?
I was just gonna ask if we could actually stencil our address on the can if we were concerned about.
Yeah, they have,
Is that,
people.
is that okay to?
No,
to do
absolutely.
that?
I mean, there's plenty of people that, stencil the addresses on their carts. The only thing that we ask is just not try to modify it or do anything, because there's a mechanism on the truck that picks it up.
No, we just
So,
a
yeah,
spray.
so no, a stencil or something like that is fine, stickers, whatever, but just can't do any type of changes, or don't remove the lids, because if you remove the lid, then you don't have a lid, and then if rainwater gets in it, we pay to get rid of everything by the weight, so we want the lids to be on our cars, because then we're paying to get rid of rainwater. So, stuff like that, but as far as stenciling, no problem.
How do y'all maintain the cars to keep them in good working condition? Because when you see a bad one, or the top's broken or whatever, do y'all report it?
That's for the driver. So if, say if my hopper dump your can and your wheel come off, I call dispatch. And I let dispatch know your address, we need wheel put on it.
Or the lid's broken or whatever?
So you're servicing us in more than one way when your trucks are coming by our house to empty our cans. You're making sure our cans are gonna be in good shape, you're emptying them.
Yeah, and that's what everybody's service should be. I mean, that's what we did. That's what it's. You
say that again.
If it's in your contract to provide service for the carts, it's exactly what that means. You provide service for the carts. There is, like I said, there's contracts where it's usually not. Usually it's maybe it's whether it be 20,000 homes or 50. Those bigger size contracts. A lot of times they'll choose those municipalities that choose to purchase their own carts, because when you purchase your own carts and you have your own carts, you have to provide maintenance to those carts. So if it's 20, 30, or 40,000 carts and you have a crew versus paying a hauler that kind of money every month to maintain cars, they kind of do it themselves. But usually on municipalities this size, the hauler will, maintain the cars. So, but that's what that is. That's maintaining the cars. And I wish, if all of our drivers were as great as Otis and reporting that. Sometimes that doesn't happen. But if the resident calls in and says, my wheel came off my car, we're going to come out and address it. It'll be addressed within 5 business days.
Now, can the resident call you and not have to call City Hall?
Yes. I encourage, and we have a tracking system that at any time, meaning that every time a call comes in, we put those calls in another system that we use called Trackies. And we do that, and we'll set up, for every municipality we have, we set up that municipality and Trackies. So if the city ever said, we'd like to see our Trackies report for this month, well, we just print that report. We bring it to you, and you see any call that we took to have anything to do with the city. So that's a separate software that we use just to manage the call-ins. But to answer your question, we'll provide the number. They'll call, residents can call us directly. Information's put in, as soon as they say, resident city of Kentwood, gets logged into that Trackies account. And then from there, it automatically goes to the manager and the supervisors. And they have 24 hours to close that ticket out. It creates a ticket. Whenever a resident calls in for, no matter what the reason is, if it's as simple as getting a phone call back, they've got 24 hours to close that ticket out, or the ticket escalates to let me know that it wasn't closed out in 24 hours. So if it could, now it doesn't say that the carts replaced in 24 hours. It may say reached out to Mr. Smith and needs a cart replacement. Cart set up, scheduled to be replaced 3 days, whatever the date is, 3 days from now. And those notes are put in there, ticket gets closed. So that's kind of how, some of our other processes.
Y'all have your name and phone number on every hand?
Yes.
What about picking up limbs, certain sizes, because right now it has to be.
Again, it's in what you put in the RFP. If you put that, correct. If you put that, look, we certain size, or we want it to be a take-all. Again, it's really, it's like anything. Every bit of service that we do, obviously there's a cost to it. If you put that, provide cards, or we want twice a week, or we want recycle. I mean, it's just every little thing just adds. So we're going to provide pricing. One of the things that I'd suggest, if there's certain things that you may want like that, maybe, if you draft an RFP where it's drafted as the services that maybe you're currently getting, and then put some alternate price, like to give alternate prices, and then you can look at the additional cost to add, like if you currently add, say 2 yards of tree debris per pickup, but you want it to be a take-all, maybe put, as an alternate price, give us a price for take-all, and then you kind of, decide if you wanted to add that extra charge to do.
If you awarded this contract, will we have to switch our days or keep our same day of pickup?
I'm not familiar with your days.
Wednesday.
Okay, and is it all on? So to answer that question, and once I look kind of more of the geographically, it could now. As I have done some research, obviously, and probably the way I would like to run it would be half one day and half another day. But that's not opposed. If you have it that, look, we'd rather it stay all on Wednesday, then what happens is I've got, it's like anything. If that means I got to send, I got to have 2 assets, 2 trucks, and 2 crews, or 3, or whatever it takes to come. But if I'm able to split it up and do some on one day and some on another day, then that helps with the cost, because it's one truck that's doing the same job on those days. But we handle, if that's in the best interest of the city, if the city says, if the city said, no, we'd like it all to stay on one day, then we'll price it accordingly. But if there is any day changes, we do all the communication to the residents, meaning that we will advertise it in local paper, advertise it online, even if there's a Facebook, media to be able to get it out there, as well as putting out door hangers. I mean, we just did, this past year in 21, we started East Feliciana Parish, which is 10,000 homes. We started Assumption Parish, which was 10,000 homes. And then we we renewed with City of Dallas, but we didn't have to change anything there. But in both of those municipalities, we had to make some changes. But it was mainly because the previous hauler was there so long that the routes weren't balanced. Right. So the municipality was open to us making the changes. We did a really good job at communicating and of course, at first, whenever you change any days, any households or residents that's affected, they may not have got, not everybody's on social media, not everybody, gets the information, so they may call up and say, look, I missed, and then we, look, your new day is this. So, I mean, we handle that communication, and we expect, we overstaff the phones for the first month, and, we expect that. So it's nothing, it's not anything out the ordinary to change the days, because the one thing that we do want to do is make sure that the routes are balanced. Right. And that, we typically run our routes a lot smaller quantity than our competitors. I don't like to, try to cram too many on a route to try to be, worrying so much more about the cost or efficiency. I want to make sure that I pick up everybody every day. That's right. So I like to build my routes to have cushion. As far as the day change, it may happen, but of course, if it's told to us, no, we don't want to. I mean, I'm going to approach it as providing the best service. So if I have, I would, approach it to say, look, I think this is the way we should go. But if you choose that, no, we're not interested in that, then I'm going to, price it accordingly.
The current provider's supposed to come on Wednesday, sometimes they come on Thursday, sometimes Friday, some weeks not at all. Will it be better under y'all? We have better service than that under y'all?
We have 24 hours. So like, if your schedule is Wednesday, if he ain't getting on Thursday, you call him. You pick up on Thursday.
The current provider, you can call, but you wasted your time.
No, so I would welcome any of the potential municipalities that we're looking to partner with to feel free to call Assumption Parish or East Feliciana and do a reference. I mean, we provide our service. That's the only thing I have to provide. I'm not up here offering a product. I'm offering service. So if I can't pick up your trash, then what am I doing in business? So it's so we can't talk. I'm not going to say what my competitors are doing or not doing, but I mean, I know what we do.
Jesse, explain to him about the all-call, because we get that text, and I work for him, but I get an all-call telling me, hey, the text
if there's ever any of issue where that's more of like with the subscription, but because we don't necessarily have all of the household residents' phone numbers, but if hurricanes coming, we delaying like a couple weeks ago when we had that hard freeze come through. We delayed our trucks till brought them all in at 7:30 when they normally report to work at 4 a.m. Well, we sent out, which we call them all or text to all of our customers that we have the phone numbers, and it's automatic text, and like trucks will be starting later than normal, and they expect that they don't see that truck at 6 a.m. But
yeah, I have a question for the mayor and for the council. Could you please tell us what are we paying annually now for a contract with Amways? And how will we know, as the general public, what the annual contract fees would be with the company that's proposing to do business here?
I don't have that information with me, but I can get that for you, Antoinette. I know it's $16.04 per can residential, at the moment. And I believe it's 7,400 for the commercial dumpsters, and we have 44 of those, that are picked up on a monthly basis, or however they have it scheduled to pick up on the businesses.
I've got another question. Here, the sanitation fees is part of the utility bill every month. Some places, do y'all actually bill the customers independently?
That's subscription markets.
Right.
Where it's typically not in the incorporated areas of a municipality where it's up to them to get their own trash service. So yes, we offer that service in here, Tangipahoa, as well as in St. Tammany, like I said, Livingston and Ascension, where outside of the incorporated areas, they contract with us and we bill them quarterly.
Yeah, because I know a lot of, like outside the town, there's very few people compared to the number of households that have their garbage picked up.
Yeah, we started servicing some of the unincorporated residents in Kentwood. So we do send a truck up here to service some subscription now.
Antoinette, then that amount, I did have it in my phone, is per month. We have 927 customers on the residential side at $16.04 per can. That's $14,869.08 per month for the residential.
What do the resident pay?
Yes, the residents pay $1 for the home. And then commercial businesses pay $8. And if you have 2 cans or more, the second can or third can are at the original cost of $16.04.
And one of the things a lot of people don't realize is we have one of our 1% sales tax subsidize the residential. And that's why it's so low here. In other words, 25% of our sales tax revenue provides garbage. It doesn't go to operate the town.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If any of you would like to take a moment, go out and look at the truck, I think they can accommodate you, and we'll wait a few moments to allow you to go and come back.
Yeah, we have if anybody wants to see the camera system or look at the tablet, the software, you're more than welcome.
Oh, crap. There we go. That's this guy here, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was looking for it.
Yeah.
You beat me to it.
Hey, there's not much I don't have in this phone. I just have to think about
How are you?
Yeah, what about?
She's 7 years old, and she weighs like 70 pounds. There were some records at 4 years, they saw her 4 years ago. I estimated her conversation, she was at a house that was overwhelmed with dogs. Really cold. So she brought out a fruit, so I thought about her house. Found out
He's the first one. I think like March. I'm thinking March.
A couple of the other dogs get a little jealous.
I kind of want to see what the truck looks like. I'll be right back.
They're gonna recommend that it's the same. But we could definitely instruct. It's time for
Well, I used to work in
Miss Antoinette, how your husband? I saw him about a week ago. We talked. How's your husband? We talked about a week ago.
In Canada.
How long we been over there?
They should be headed back to them. Yeah, he said with this vision coming out, they can't see, they can't, none of that. I ran across your dad's funeral program.
Did you? Do you know how many people was at that funeral in the rain? Yes. They didn't even have standing room at that big church at Temple Chapel. Cars was all the way down to something. It was.
I ran across it.
Okay. He was well respected, man. Little over 2,000 people.
Wow. Well, he was a service to the community.
Him and your mother-in-law is classmates. Yeah.
Not more than 2 rooms over there.
My grandmother, she just made 82. Yeah, she don't. When I say sweet, she just stay at home out there. Out there in the outside the city limits, past John Armstrong Church.
That's your mother's mother?
Yes. Yes. 82. She don't go anywhere. She'll come to the site and stuff. Yes, ma'am.
How many grandkids you have?
I'm the oldest. Yes, ma'am. I'm the oldest. I have to count them in my. It's
great grandkids.
Oh, great grands, man.
That's a blessing to have a grandmother.
Yes, man. Man, she raised all of us, because Brian, she raised us all like we're her children.
Brian finally got a boy.
Finally got a boy. Yeah.
He's about 2 now.
Yes, man. Finally got a boy.
How you like it, Tre'Von? Anything with technology?
Okay, we're going to resume our meeting. Hope you had an opportunity to view Waste Pro's truck. Hopefully, when we put out our RFP, we'll get some good potential businesses coming in to do business with the town of Kentwood. Next item.
Item number 4, Tammy Shaffett, Sharon Fairburn, and Paul Saucier to speak on town utility bill errors. Tammy?
He just walked in there.
Oh, Paul did, yeah. I think I saw him sitting over there. We were waiting on you. It got real quiet, didn't it?
We were talking about your money.
We'll give Mr. Saucier time. A moment. All eyes are on you.
Say where. Did that feel strange?
Yes.
There you are.
Do I need to stand anywhere?
If you stand on the side over there, Paul, please.
Sorry about that.
You're
Paul
okay.
Saucier. See y'all. Start? Awesome. So on January 1st, I own a business in town. It's a 25,000 square foot warehouse across from Dollar General, 925 Avenue G. I've been doing business here for about 2 years, and our trash bill, trash, water, sewer, all that stuff, has typically been $170 a month. And I got a bill January 1st for $1,157. It's a little bit red flag, right? So I researched the bill, called the office and said, hey, what's going on? And I was informed that I was supposed to be charged $233.25 when I upgraded our dumpster with hand waste to, I think it's an 8-yard dumpster, 6-yard dumpster, something like that. And so that difference on that bill is $63.75. And I did the math. The back charge was $924. And that basically goes back 14 and a half months is what I'm being back charged. In my world, in business, if I don't charge anybody, that's boo-hoo on me. I don't get to go back and say, hey buddy, sorry, I need to bill you for over a year's worth of work that we've done. I miss out on it. And as a business, we run on budgets and those types of things. And so to just be hit with an extra, $1,000 didn't feel right to me. So I'm here to just address that to see what do we need to do to make that right. I know I'm not the only one this has happened to. I know there's other people in the city that's experiencing this. So that's all I got. Any questions?
Thank you. You want to address that, Michelle?
Yes, we did a 13-month audit, and we found out that a lot of them wasn't getting charged for the service that we have already given to you. We were charged for the services, so we can't give away services, so we had to come back and charge you for the services that we rendered to you. And in that process, I was the one you talked to, and I did offer you a payment plan.
Right.
The town did not expect you to pay for it all at one time. We were going to put you on a payment plan, and that payment plan still stands.
Okay. So my argument with that is it's not really about the money for me, it's more about the principle. We can pay, I'll pay it all at once. But it's more of the principle behind it. To me, it's a massive problem if the city is not getting the money that is supposed to be given to them at the time that's supposed to be given to them. We all know that cities need their money when they need their money. So that's a really big problem. If in my business, if I didn't charge people the right amount of money for over a year, I would be out of business.
I have a question when he's done.
That's all, go ahead.
Okay, so who primarily is in charge of checking the numbers and making sure everyone is billed at the appropriate time?
I am.
So,
And it was just a mistake. I am not perfect. Everybody make mistakes. 2 years ago, when we came to the same little office, had y'all given us the right to update the system? Some of y'all was so upset with Michelle that you didn't want to do it. Had y'all updated that system will have gave us a red flag. Okay, it's time to do this. But you all didn't update the system.
I will say I take no responsibility for that being tabled because we did look at the utility billing system at City Hall. I actually went to City Hall one day and assessed it and looked at it. Some of those computers are Windows XP computers, and I believe the company that made the software for our utility billing software, we reached out to them to make an additional patch after the software had already been phased out, just so we could still utilize our antiquated system. And we did talk about this. I believe it was back at the July of 2020 meeting, and it got tabled because my colleague Xavier Diamond needed to do more research on the utility billing system, if we even wanted to use it. And this was after our quote for public software was extended due to the coronavirus pandemic not allowing us to meet in this building. So I take no responsibility for us not having a new utility billing software.
Thank you. Councilman Ruffin.
Mayor Bakes, I do recall Miss Yolanda coming on that particular night asking for help. We've been dealing with this for software for over 20 years. We as a board got to take full responsibility for this happening. So we can go back and forth calling names. We got to what happened, how it happened, and let's correct this problem.
And so my question is how did it happen? You know, why does this happen constantly? Has it been a consistent, like, systemic issue?
No, this is the first time it had happened.
It seems like you upgraded your can.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just didn't notice or didn't make note of that, but you knew that you had a bigger can.
Yeah, I just called and said I need a bigger
Assume
can.
it's the same product?
That's not my job to check that.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I apologize.
My first thing is, we've had issues similar to this, you know, what we're hearing tonight, before. And my decision was not based on it. When I had a concern about it and I wanted to do my research, I did do that. It's not my job to say what comes back before the board. So if the mayor at any point in time has saw fit for us to bring that back to the table, he could have put that on the agenda. At any point in time, any issue that he feels need to be handled is his job. And I'm not putting anything on it, but I'm just stating the facts to bring it to the board. He's here, he know what happens going day to day, and so if he wanted it to come back, it could have came back. He could have brought that guy in that same company back. So I just wanted to make that clear. The next thing is, I have a question. I want to know, and I'm listening to both sides. I want to know, is it a software issue or is it a personnel issue? Because, you know, we want to blame it on software, but you can have the best and top of the line technology, but if you don't have the actual human being or the employee doing the job, the technology is pointless. So I'm just trying to, and it's not anything that you, not this personal, we talking about the system. The systems that we use to make these things more efficient and more proficient for our citizens. So my question is, since we on the topic, if it's a software issue, why have it not came back up? If it's a software issue. If it's a personnel issue, why hasn't the inside administration who's here day to day rectified the issue? Because this has not been the first time that this has happened. Now, I'm all for solutions. I'm all for it. If there's a problem, let's come up with a solution. But I'm also for holding people accountable. If there's a problem that's happening in the office, those things have to be rectified there. And then when you want to bring forward things like that, we have to go in there. As I always remind you as well, things like that, you don't always have to have the board approval to make immediate action in the front office. And it's in the books. Now I can't quote the exact amount and things like that. But what I'm saying is we just gotta get to the root cause of the problem, because there are many people, and I've had family members. And once again, we've talked, and you all have gave him the same option as well as far as the payment plan. But what I'm saying is we just gotta fix the issue.
That's it.
So we gotta get to the bottom of it. And Councilman Hoof and I agree. We can sit here all night long, and I say it month after month. But what more can I do? I come here, I talk, we bring these things up, but where are the solutions? Where are the solutions? So I'm all for the solutions, but let's not put it off. So if it's software, hey, let's upgrade the software. But we also got to hold the people in the office accountable. I give all of us in this room on our jobs, our day-to-day jobs, we all get paid to do a job. When you apply for that job, there's a particular criteria for you. And if you don't do that job, there's also consequences and things in place to ensure that the job gets done or that company is going forward with other options. So I think that we have to sit down and say, okay, what do we need? Number one, what do we need to make things better in our city hall? The people who are here has to be the ones to develop that plan. And once that plan is developed, then bring it to the board and let us hear that. But you can't just say it's all on the council. How come? I don't work in the front office. I'm educated. But if it comes here, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to ensure that we can get the things that we need in our city hall.
Thank you. Ms. Yolanda, you wanted to say?
Well, I made the mistake. I am not perfect. Nobody is perfect. And if anybody in this room can tell me that they are perfect, I want you to raise your hand. You're not perfect.
It's
If
not
you're
about
perfect,
perfect.
if you're perfect,
One
you're close
second,
to
let her
God.
speak in.
And we better start praising you if you're close to God, because that means you're perfect.
I'm not raising my hand.
Nobody in here is perfect. I made a mistake.
Right.
But only thing I'm saying, if I had that software in place, it would have given me a red flag.
Okay.
To say
One second.
that.
I have one before you two. Ms. Susan?
I would like to say that not once but twice has Miss Yolanda apologized and taken full responsibility. I'd also like to
That's
say,
right.
it sounds like we are trying to kill a mosquito with an anvil
That's right.
tonight.
That's right.
And it needs to stop.
That's right.
Can we please address this gentleman's issue and move forward?
Mr. Weeding?
Like she said, she made a mistake, and he had to pay for it. Those mistakes shouldn't happen.
Understood.
They should not happen.
Gotcha.
It is her job to get it right, and that's the only thing he's trying to get across.
And I am moving forward
And
to
it's
get it
okay
right.
to be imperfect. We are all that.
Okay. Mr. George, and then we'll come.
I just have a real quick question. Ms. Yolanda, you said you did an audit and you discovered these problems. What's the magnitude of our problem? Is it just the $1,000 that this gentleman has a problem with, or is it a much greater problem? I'd like to know if you have a number.
Well, actually, I had this company to call me, and it's bigger than here. And I apologized to the lady, and you know what this lady told me? Please don't apologize to me, because you're not perfect. Everybody makes mistakes. She said, I work in the corporate world. I makes mistakes. She said, and before I get off this phone with you, I might make another mistake, and I might make another mistake every year. She said, but don't feel sorry for it, but I am still apologizing for it.
But do we have a number? That's my question. How much money have we lost because we didn't bill like this gentleman? That's my
We
question.
don't have the numbers right now, but,
One second.
Okay.
well, I don't have the numbers, they might have it.
Okay, I think it's fine.
While, can I speak while you're looking at that?
Go ahead.
So, I know you mentioned software and the system, you're saying you should have gotten a red flag. In my business, I try to make it what I call it error-proof, as error-proof as possible. Now, that being said, there's still going to be, when you have a human interaction, you have opportunity for error. Totally understand that. In the business world, it happens all the time. That being said, my big concern is it negligence or is it because, well, I want to just know what the process is. I upgraded the can, it's really simple, I call, can's upgraded, now what? What does that process look like on the back end? Can you speak to that, Michelle?
Yeah, let me ask you a question. What's your business?
It's logistics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Logistics. And I heard you say, you keep referencing to business.
Yeah.
And I supported you on the issue of the buildings. But just like you said, I can speak personally because they being lenient when they say the system is 20 years old. This system was in place when I came on board, and that was 16 years ago. So, and, I mean, just like the lady right here says, I mean, we can stay here hours beating the cars. But stuck on my mind, you say you're in logistics. But logistics, what's your company? And I'm not beating on them, just I want to know.
What's like the name of the company?
Yes.
It's Cage Bar. I don't think it's the topic though. What, Michelle, what were you gonna say?
No, I got a question, sir.
I don't know where we're going with this.
No, I'm just asking a question, what's the name of your business?
Cajun Prep.
Cajun Prep, okay. That's the old garment factory, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Ms. Antoinette?
Yeah, what would it take for the software for Ms. Callahan to get what she needs so that this can really avoid any future problems? Of course, there's always a problem with computers and software, but what would it take for her to get what she needs to be able to function?
We had a company come in and give us a demonstration, and we looked at it that night, and she spoke on behalf of it. We're going to contact that company again to see if they come out and give us a quote and see if we can move forward from here.
And I'm glad to see that because I see two computers, two laptops, one with Councilman Callahan and one with Councilman Cooper. So, we see a lot of paper when I know that they got the laptops to eliminate some of the paperwork and they're not here.
Do we have that number?
Yes, I'm getting ready to give it to you.
You getting it?
Just for the month from 12/2 to 1/15, we went back and did the adjustments, $31,325.25.
That was the difference?
That's just for the 1 month of all the audits that we did on the account.
That's what y'all should have been paid.
Yes.
That's lost revenue.
Yes.
For 1 month, right?
For 1 month.
Okay. And I got it back
There's
over
a problem with
14
the
months.
computer system.
Just 1 month.
So 14 times 30?
Yes. Mr.
So,
George?
so here's our dilemma. On the one hand, everybody's sympathetic to you, Mr. Saucier, and I would probably suggest that they grant you amnesty this one time and move on and this, that, and the
I
other.
fully agree with that.
But the problem is not $1,000.
No, it's $434,000.
Correct. It's probably not quite that much.
If it was 30 grand, that'd be.
It's potentially that much.
Potential.
And so my suggestion to the board would be to try to work out something that's more amenable to you and not have this happen again. And hopefully you understand.
Right.
It concerns me for the city of Kentwood.
I agree.
Concerns all of us. That's why we have the audit done. We asked
Ms.
for it.
Yolanda, I just speak directly to you. In no way, shape, or form, mistakes are mistakes. Some have really, really large consequences, some not so much. In my opinion, it's a really, really, really big deal. And if it's the system that caused it, absolutely pin it down. But my question never got answered. What is the process? How did it get missed this large? Go ahead.
I can answer that. We get a commercial invoice every month,
Okay.
which comes from Amwaste. Yolanda gets a copy of that invoice. She's supposed to compare it to make sure there's no increases or decreases in order to charge the customer correctly. And that was not being done.
So what system would do that automatically for you?
There is no system that would do that automatically.
I got one comment about it. one of the problems we got, Paul, here is the Constitution says you can't give away the public's money, property. And the fact that they are charged that and they pass it on to you. You do have, I think on commercial, he could get his own contract with a dumpster, can he?
He can do
Yeah,
that.
if you can get a
discussed
better
that.
deal, they hope they get you a better deal by putting everybody
Yeah,
together.
that'd be great.
But, you know, it was caught by an audit, so, you know, it wasn't intentional. And then, like I say, it's hard. A lot of times you want to do things and help people, but you are restricted by the Constitution is how much, and that's why if you go to the legislature, they're going to tell you how to work out a payment plan.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty, but you're restricted with those guidelines. I mean, I'd like to look at, it's hard for me to believe in 1 month we could be that much off, but I don't know, I haven't seen it.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
May I say something?
Yes.
Ms. Michelle, you said the comparison was not being made,
That's correct.
okay, by the clerk, Ms. Yolanda, is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay, should somebody have double checked behind her, or?
That's how this came about. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
somebody did double check behind her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was the young man, was he brought in, sit down and explain, was he brought in?
I'm sorry, what, I missed the
Did
first
they,
part.
did they call you to come in to sit down so that everything could be explained to you as to what had happened to your account?
I didn't get a call to
on the
come, we spoke on the phone.
Yeah, I explained to him.
No, actually, I didn't get I saw the bill, and so I was like, what is this? So I think the expectation was that I was just gonna pay it and
Okay.
I was never gonna be here.
No, that
So,
wasn't the expectation.
so Ms. Yolanda,
My
as
thing
the,
is-
I'm sorry,
Okay, go.
Ms. Michelle, as the head clerk, what do you suggest as the head clerk as to what happened? How do you, as the head clerk, how do you say it should be solved?
I think the invoices need to be looked at monthly like they should be, and this wouldn't be a problem today.
Okay, so Ms. Yolanda, and who double checks behind Ms. Yolanda? So you're saying 2 heads or 3 heads should be looking at this? I'm just asking.
Wait, on a, you speaking on a
Who
monthly
checks-
basis? On a
Who
monthly
checks behind
basis?
this, Ms. Clerk Yolanda?
I do.
Okay. Okay, so this, you caught this behind her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you check behind her every month or every billing?
Oh, no, ma'am, this is not a daycare, no.
It's not a daycare.
Not a
It's not a
daycare.
daycare. It's important enough.
It is important.
It's important enough
It
that
is-
somebody check
it is
behind.
important.
Not just Ms. Yolanda, but everybody.
It is very
You know?
important. You're correct. That's why I
No, it is
perform an
not a
audit.
daycare. You can't, no, it's not a daycare.
That's why I perform an
But
audit.
but my thing is, you caught it this time.
And the
Then
times
you-
before too.
So you're saying.
And the times
you're
before too.
Yolanda.
So what
I'm
we're
just
going to
trying to-
do, thank you, Ms. Yolanda, we're not going to discuss an employee's performance in open forum here. If we need to move to an executive session, we will do so. Now, we've discussed it. We come up with a solution with a payment plan for you if you like. We understand that we have some problems. These problems just didn't start. It just didn't start with this administration.
Yeah.
So I called for an audit. I did.
Yeah.
So now the audit discovered this, so we're going to do our best to rectify it. 1 is getting the system. 2 is making sure our employees are doing the things that they need to do.
That's great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Ms. Terry McCoy, appreciation of street signage replacement.
Thank you for putting me on the agenda. A little over a year ago, I came before the council and voiced my concern about not having street signs in Kentwood. I was out walking my dog and I just happened to notice, said, oh, if something happened here, if I had to call 911, where would I tell them I am? And it reminded me of this little sign my mother had on her door once upon a time, that I'm lost. I can't find myself. If you should happen to find me, tell me to wait. Anyhow, I have noticed new signs up around Kentwood. Quite a few new signs, stop signs, street signs. and it's marvelous, it's great. But I also noticed there's still room for more because we're not finished yet.
That's right.
And I wanted to thank the council for doing this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
They're still working on them, Miss Terry,
Yes.
too. We got plenty more.
Item number 6.
Recommendation from zoning board for zoning change request from Elizabeth Weedick on property located at 502 Avenue E. Request property to be rezoned from R1 single family residential to C1 commercial.
Thank you for having me here tonight. The committee met and we chose not to make it commercial because we don't want commercial in the middle of a residential area. So it looked at me, and I talked to the realtor, the person, Mrs. Grubbs, who was on there, and she was talking about a B&B. Well, there's nothing in any of our ordinances about a B&B. So I did research. We all started doing research. And I looked up different municipalities. Didn't hear back from all of them, but I did get quite a few responses. And our recommendation, and what we do is we recommend to the council our findings, and then they make the decision. So, leading up with it being a B&B, and I worked in the B&B for years, and it's hard work. It's 2 people per room, et cetera, et cetera. You have to be very disciplined. I used to serve sometimes 16 people by myself in the morning. But what we came up with, and this was a recommendation to the council, that the bed and breakfast establishments are permitted, providing that not more than 2 rooms are devoted to the bed and breakfast use. That all licenses and taxes be filed in a timely manner, including the Tangipahoa Parish occupancy tax. That all state and local fire, sanitation, and food service provisions are met. That the owner also occupies the residence. That any food service is limited to breakfast for those purchasing lodging and is not advertised to the general public as a restaurant. And that at least 1 off-street parking space is provided per guest.
Makes sense.
So that is our recommendation to the board. And that all future bed and breakfast requests should be dealt with on a one-to-one basis. But the bigger issue is that the ordinance needs to be looked at to modify it to include a B&B. And most B&Bs are in a residential area. But they have to conform, they can't, there are noise ordinances, et cetera, et cetera. Do you allow weddings? Sometimes B&Bs want to do it. Some of them do if they have the space to do so. So that's our recommendation to the city, the town council. I've handed it to everyone, and it's their decision.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Yes, sir.
Mayor, I move that we table it until we are able to look at our ordinances and look to update those things. So hopefully next month we can all come back in. So I'm gonna give them a table until we get a chance to visit the ordinance. Because in order to pass their recommendation, we would basically have to make an amendment to what we have.
We'll do that in number 7, do the motion in number 7. And then
Gotcha.
From what I can see here, this in effect is a variance, not a zoning change, so it wouldn't need any of that.
Right.
Because this is structured as a variance, not an ordinance change.
But he says zone is residential approved for a bed and breakfast with the following stipulations.
Yeah, it's already zoned as residential.
Councilman Cooper, I'm talking about what's presented in front of us.
Yeah, I have the same paper.
You see what I'm, so
Yes.
he said remain zoned as a residential and approved for a bed and breakfast. There's nothing on the books that we currently have that talks about bed and breakfast. So I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. I'm just saying let us come back at a later date to decide if we want to make this amendment.
I realize that there's nothing on the books, which is then the purpose for a variance. They wouldn't have suggested it if it was something illegal.
Okay, so what we're going to do, council members, is we're gonna go ahead and read number 7, and then you can make your motion at that time, and we
Yes,
get a
sir.
second. We will go along with that and get a vote. Okay? Yes.
Approve recommendation from zoning board for zoning change request from Elizabeth Weedig on property located at 502 Avenue E. Request property be rezoned from R1 single family residential to C1 commercial.
Councilman Diamond, make your motion at this time.
Mayor, I think, I just want to just clarify something. I'm just trying to get an understanding, because if we are, because you remember we've been down this road before, right? So this is the zoning committee's recommendation.
Yes.
Okay, so they're saying that it remains zoned as residential, but approved, so if we table it, will they have to go back through the process of through zoning? You see where I'm going with it? Will they have to
Bruce would just have to come up with an ordinance.
Right.
That's it.
to address it? Okay,
That's
gotcha.
right.
So I moved in the table.
Can I get a second?
We can go with this, but all it has to do is come back and vote on the ordinance when Bruce finished with the ordinance. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
Because it's still gonna remain residential. They can't do anything with the bread and breakfast until we, put it in an ordinance.
But that's what the recommendation says, though. See, the paperwork that we have in front of us says that remains zoned as residential and approved for a bed and breakfast. Do everybody get what I'm saying?
Yes, the approved for bed and breakfast that you are saying is a variance. It's the pure definition of a variance.
Let me hear you and then Mr. George.
Yeah, I mean, Councilman Diamond's right. You can't vote for one thing and not change it. It is confusing. Councilman Cook, you keep saying variance. When you go in and change in zone, it's not a variance.
This isn't a zoning change, sir.
Guess what that you're saying, I don't know what you're listening to, sir, but the man says, it's plain. You say it's not a change, but he's actually asking the council to vote on a change and then go do your homework. I see what Councilman Diamond's saying. You need to table it until you get all your stuff in a row. You got to go one way or the other. You can't approve it to stay and then come back. It's either written wrong on the paper.
It's not. I disagree with your assessment of the
That's your opinion,
situation.
sir. That's your opinion.
Mr. George, as soon as he's finished, you're done?
I just want to ask Bruce a question. Bruce, I thought I heard you say that if it was zoned single-family residence, a bed and breakfast could not go in there, and that the only way it could be accomplished was if you changed the
zone.
ordinance.
That's right.
Please, sir, please, sir.
Yeah.
Is that right?
If you wanna, I've been looking at this thing on a home occupation. You know, you can put a barber shop in your house in this town, or I'm reading this, I don't see why a bed and breakfast couldn't qualify as a home occupation. It's a business conducted in a dwelling unit, provided that no person other than members of the family residing on the premises shall be engaged in such occupation, which means you couldn't hire outside help to help you. You'd have to do all the sweeping and all yourself. It has to be clearly incidental and subordinate to its use for residential purposes by its occupants. Not more than 25% of the floor area shall be used in the conduct of the home occupation. No change in the outside appearance of the building or other visible evidence of this home occupation. And any need for parking shall be off the street. And you can't do anything there that would create a nuisance of any kind.
Right.
So technically, you could probably get by with approving it as a home occupation.
And would you also suggest that they approve it with a home occupation with the conditions that the board has recommended?
One second.
Okay, I have it.
Mr. Ronan, you're.
So I did a lot of research on this. B&Bs are primarily in residential areas. And this is the typical restriction that a B&B has. Now, there's a platform called Airbnb, and you could go on the platform, you could do it all day long, you could rent your house out. There is nothing that says you can't do that. I wasn't going to say that, but you could do that. So we're just making it a little bit more restricted, actually. But it has to be because that's just the way it should be. You know, people do B&Bs. They don't want to have huge weddings if you don't have the facility or if it's an intrusion into, you know, somebody else's. But we did research on this, and it usually comes up on on an individual basis. We're not talking about a huge municipality. We want to keep it. And the other thing is, there's a place right next door to their house that's mechanicking and doing mechanic work in front of the house. Is it commercial? Do they have a license to run? You know, if we're going to open up this can of worm, then we better open up all of them.
Yes, Councilman Hookman.
Anyway, that's my thought.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Y'all taking me all over the place. Until we pay Bruce to do a job. Bruce, you bring back what we can and can't do, and I'm like Zay now. Let's table this thing until we get everything in place.
So now he's made the motion that we table it. All we need is a second. We will vote, and then we can go forward.
Man, just one thing. And the reason why I said let's table it is so we can have discussions like this during the introduction. So I wasn't saying whether I'm on board or not, but I'm saying let's table it so that we can have these introductions. But and my point is, this is not an ordinance. We have to have it introduced and go through the process to put this on the books. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, it's been
not how it works. So we had a public hearing.
Table. Can I get a second?
A second.
Now we're going to call it into question. Any more questions? Okay. All in favor of tabling item number 7 to next month's meeting to approve the B&B and change the ordinance, or come back and revisit the ordinance? Vote by saying aye. Let's do this. Let's do a roll call.
Hookfin.
Yes.
Cooper.
Nay, with extreme prejudice.
Diamond.
Yes.
Callahan. Winters.
Any nays? No. Okay, motion carries. We will table this, Mr. Weedick, and we will come back next month. And hopefully we'll have something for you. Okay. Next item.
Nikki Carrier to speak on council meeting promotion on Facebook, keeping up with Kentwood, and B, host Meet the Candidate for Election.
As most of you know, I'm Nikki Carrier. I've been a resident for Kentwood for 2003. I've worked for a newspaper, Kentwood Ledger, and I was also a radio station manager for K106, which leaves me with 8 years of experience with media. What I loved most about being a reporter for Kentwood News Ledger was being in the community. I covered schools. I went to sports, went to council on aging, went to the library. I was all over the community. But when the newspaper died, Kentwood died. And everybody can feel it, not just people that read newspaper, the whole community. I feel like Kentwood desperately needs something. So I created Keeping Up with Kentwood. It's a Facebook page. I started out, it was intended to spotlight local businesses because we do not have a chamber of commerce here. So when we have a new business comes in, Chamber of Commerce goes with a welcoming plant or ribbon cutting. We don't even have any of that. So I started highlighting businesses to town. And I got a tremendous feedback. Like, it was awesome. And so it started to get progressing a little more. Before I know it, I'm a newspaper without being a newspaper. So, which is great because I love it. I love being in the community. I love seeing people. I love interacting with people. Getting the happenings that are going on. That's another thing, the happenings. What's going on in Kentwood? who keeps up with Kentwood? Who comes to the council meetings? Who knows what's going on? Nobody does. So, with that being said, I was invited to come sit in on a council meeting to report, which the way my take is on that on Facebook, you can't get too in depth with that because people don't read everything. You do your live feeds, but nobody really watches that. They'll watch it, but then they get sidetracked and they'll come back and work on it. But what I want to do is highlight on the major highlight topics that we have, just to put out there, to give the residents an idea of what's going on. With that being said, we're coming up on an election, which is going to be a very important election for Kentwood. What I would like to do is meet your candidate. That would be current and people that are coming up to be, your opponent. With that being said, I might be stepping on some toes, but it's not for that. It's just information to give back to the community. And there will be questions, for once, like what attracted you to Kentwood that you love so much that you like to see it grow? What have you done to help that grow? Little questions like that. But, I love doing what I do and I love being in Kentwood. So, I'm also a Rotarian. I have been a Rotarian for 5 years, but I'm a Rotarian in the Macomb Club. I come to Kentwood to do my makeups. When I came to do my makeup, I realized how dire need that Kentwood needs to have businesses come in. Because that's what Rotary is. Since we don't have a Chamber of Commerce, Rotary is our Chamber of Commerce. So there's no young people in it. I am the young person. I'm 43 years old. So with that being said, we have businesses like 51 Nutrition. That's a young business owner. The Wagon Wheel, she's also young. Do something to entice them to come to our Rotary meetings, to get involved in our community. So when I came for a visit, Christmas parade was on. And Mr. Ron had asked me to be the chairman of the Christmas parade. He gave me 2 weeks to put it together. That 1 week was Thanksgiving. So I did what I could, did the best that I could, and I think I did a pretty darn good job.
You did a great job.
So I also decided to do the Christmas display decorations, which used to be gone years past, and it hasn't been done. So I put that out there, not thinking that I was going to get a lot of people to participate. I'm thinking first, second, third. But I had 6 businesses participate. That's freaking awesome. Not only that, I could not give a first, second, and third place winner. So I made them all a category and I made them all winners. Everybody was happy. And that's what I wanted to do, was have so many people excited to have something to do in Kentwood. Because what I used to love hearing is, I'm going to be in the paper. You don't hear that no more. Nobody decided. But when we started handing out them awards, those people, their faces were, they were on cloud 9. Not only did they get an award, but also took their picture, wrote up a little something about it, and put it on Keeping Up with Kentwood, the Facebook page. And, so many people are in it. Like, I have over 1,000 people that's following us right now. And it's older people that used to live in Kentwood that are no longer here, but they can see what's going on in Kentwood. And it's all positive stuff. I don't want no negative stuff. We've got enough negative stuff going on as it is. I'm focusing on the positive, the good of Kentwood, and bringing it back. And I would like to bring Kentwood back to life, because right now Kentwood is dead. And it's going to take us as a community to work together, and that's what I miss. I miss us working together. I miss being able to go on the street and being like, hey, how's your mama doing? What's your dad been up to? I ain't seen him at the cafe. Something like that. That's what I want. I want to get back to that. And when I preach on this, it makes me feel like I'm preaching. So, but that's what I would like to do. We're gonna make it there. It's gonna get back there. It is a community thing. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. And I'm really excited about it. But I'm not gonna focus on all the negative stuff. Like, if there's something going on at Kentwood High School and those boys are winning their basketball games or they're winning their footballs, I want to be there. Take a picture of these people. put them out there and, you know.
Come
I like-
tomorrow night.
That's like, there you go. You know, we got good coaches, like, I ain't gonna call them names, but you know, line them all up, shout them out. You know, give these, you know, give everybody in this community a reason for a shout out. You know, and that's what we need. Once you shout them out, it's gonna boost morale up in Kentwood. That's what we need. We are Group Pride for a reason. So let's show it.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Ms. Nikki, we certainly appreciate you wanting to do that for our community and our town and bring it back to what it once was, as far as morale and wanting to be a part of this community. Number 9.
Approve license renewal for 2022. You've got Family Dollar, which has a tobacco license that needs to be renewed.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Hookman, second by Councilman Diamond to approve license renewal for Family Dollar. Any questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 10, Irma Gordon to speak on town's maintenance yard, dump site, town's new water well equipment, and abandoned properties.
May I stay over here? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank y'all for adding me to the agenda. Town maintenance yard, I see number 12, declare items at Bank Lawn as surplus property. I see you got some, we had some old signs at the road, I rode down there and looked. That's what I do, I just ride around. But I know this summer it was kind of rolled up some, the yard, but it's looking better. So I won't talk too much of the maintenance yard. But the things that we can declare surplus property will help to kind of thin it out some. Okay, that's maintenance. The dump site, Mayor and Council, the dump site that we had out across the railroad track, the river there, can we now dump things out there? Or can we can't?
No, ma'am.
Does it look like we may be able to dump something out there a little later or something?
Currently, DEQ has it closed down, and we're trying to allow Mr. Russ an opportunity to get with DEQ. That was supposed to have been done a little while ago, but he's going to get on that matter, and we'll try to get it open up as soon as possible. We're asking the parish to come and help. We have asked them, but once we get all our DEQ violations and what we need to do, then we'll be trying our best to get it open.
Okay. And also, we have some big piles of limbs around town again, because some people just bringing their stuff out to the road. So will those people, they be coming back and picking up again those big double trucks like they was before? Or the parish would get that?
There's been one parked up by the truck stop, and we're going to be asking Mr. Charles with the parish to see if they will be coming again, because that was supposed to end months ago, but they're still doing it, so we're going to be asking them to come through again.
Okay, because it's quite a bit, because someone just bringing it out. Down at the yard there, the water well, those digital device that read the water levels, the chemical levels and all that, who do we have now that's able to read that? Or we got somebody in training? You can read it now?
I can. Neil does, Tibbetts, I mean, pretty well all of them.
Okay, because that's our drinking water, so we need to keep that together. Okay, and abandoned properties, that's one of the main things. You know, around town here, we have quite a few abandoned properties. And some people have just moved out of town and left their home, just left it there, and grew up, and now trees are down in the yard a lot of places. So, have we sent letters to these property owners? You know, I know they can't clean it up tomorrow, next week, maybe the next month or whatever, but they can get on it. Because it is a process. It's a process that we have to go through, but can we get them started? Because we got quite a few of them around town.
Turn the lights
And we got
off.
some of it?
Yeah, so you can see.
Yeah.
Just for a minute.
But this one is on Martin Luther King. This is on Martin Luther King, right down from the park, right down from the park. And this caught my attention because 2 children was in that tree playing, 2 little small children on that fallen tree. And I stopped and asked them to get out of the tree. You don't want to hear what they told me. but they said, they remained playing in the tree, and just so happened their mom was coming down the street, and I told them, and she got them off the tree. But that's really, this house was on an abandoned property list a few years back, but it still looked, matter of fact, it's worse than what it was then. So that's just one of them, and that's on Martin Luther King. So have this property owner received the letter yet? Does anybody know what this is?
Yeah, I know what it is.
What address was it?
I don't know the address, but you.
Okay.
Miss, it's right down the street from, it's on your street, Miss Winters.
Which address was it?
It's the McCrae's property.
McCrae. I don't know the address.
Yes, the McCrae's did receive a letter, and if anybody has any more addresses, I've been sending out the letters.
Okay.
I sent out about 10 of them. When did we send those out, Mayor?
About 2 weeks ago.
About 2 weeks ago, and we have been on that one.
Okay, so if I have any to bring in to you with the address.
And I've told Ms. Antoinette the same thing.
Okay.
What is that process like?
But it's quite a few of them, so.
I would like you to send the picture so we do have picture evidence of it.
Okay.
But if you send the picture and then we have an ordinance on the letter, it's overgrown vegetation, debris in the yard, fire hazards. If anybody has any addresses like that and we think that it meets that criteria, we'll send them a letter. Okay, so there you go.
And all of the time they won't react to that first letter. So then when you get down there, you have to send it to the attorney, then this would be a process.
They have a time frame to react to the letter.
Right. So if they don't, I'm asking, can we keep the process going?
Yes.
Because sometimes it can be a long process. And it's easy to just stop.
Exactly.
But can we keep it going?
Right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can we keep it going?
Yes.
Okay.
I said yes.
All right.
Next item.
Mayor to give updates on recreation program kickoff plans.
The Recreation Committee met last week?
Last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday, and they're gonna give us an update, but I also have something to give to them tonight, which came from Mr. Ryan Barker, so you can put it on your agenda to call him. He says, if you're wanting to run an end of spring summer T-ball league at Kentwood Rec, we need to start on that ASAP. So we'll get you contact numbers to Mr. Ryan Barker, who actually runs Chapel Fever, so we can talk to him and see what we need to do about at least trying to do the T-ball. So Ms. Dyson is here. She's a part of the Recreation Committee, and she's going to speak. Did you have anything?
No, Ms. Dyson will be our speaker.
Good evening. The Recreation Committee met Wednesday, January 26th at 6 p.m. Present was Councilman Tre'Von Finn, Councilman David Diamond, Alton Cook, Oliver Cook, Assistant Superintendent Lisa Purcell, and yours truly. Council Hooperman stated that people want to know what kind of recreation is in the town of Kentwood and what kind of improvements is the town going to make to the 3 parks. This is just a synopsis of what was discussed at that meeting. The 3 parks discussed were the park by the community center, which has a merry-go-round, swing sets, which are not in good condition, and the pavilion. The next part was Martin Luther King. It has 2 tennis courts, but the nets are in bad shape. It has 4 basketball courts, but the lines need to be drawn designating the areas of the courts. The basketball goals are in bad shape. The pavilion needs upgrading along with the playground equipment, which includes a merry-go-round and swing set. There is a walking track, which is good, but there is no access to water or a decent restroom for those who walk, and fencing needs to be upgraded. The 3rd park discussed was the North Kentwood Parish Recreation Park located on 9th Street, or most people say the back road. This park raised the most concern because the park is always locked, and for the amount of money that was spent, a question was posed as to why is there only a baseball field. Another concern was the wooded area blocks the view of the park. There is a portable bathroom and the bleachers were borrowed. The town does pay someone to upkeep the park. It was brought out that it is not a race thing,
We want all three parks accessible to the entire Kentwood community. There are no rules at either of the parks stating what can or cannot be done, what will not be allowed, and there are no hours that the park open or close. This brought about a possible need for park monitors and maybe a recreational director. The monitors will make sure the rules are enforced, and the director will oversee the recreation for the town along with a recreation board. We also discussed the possible funding available to do the necessary upgrading to the parks. We would like the funding for the parks to be included in the town's budget if it is not already done. Ms. Estelle mentioned that if we make the parks handicap accessible, there are grants available. She said she would contact the lady she knows that writes grants and assist her in writing a grant for funding for these three parks. However, we want to prioritize which park needs upgrading first, which one is used the most by the town of Kentwood. This is where the recreation director and the recreation board would come in place. We would like to survey the community to see what recreation they would like in the town, and the committee hopes that the mayor and his administration will be on board upgrading the parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hookfin, who's a part of the board, said that they wanted to meet with me, and we think we scheduled for February 9th. February 9th. So I will be meeting with you all to talk about some of the issues that you mentioned there, to see what we can do as a board and as a community to bring those things. Can we make sure we get a copy of your minutes? Very detailed, very concise, and we appreciate that. We thank the Recreation Committee for meeting, and hopefully we can get our programs going. Okay, next
Question
item.
on that one.
Yes.
Do we have a date or something? We're gonna open this park on 051?
I'll be discussing that with the Recreation Committee, and hopefully we can bring that back to you soon.
Okay, I know, but she said something like it's only baseball down there. So, when y'all meet, we y'all discuss like what other equipment we may can get up in there for the little children or something?
Yes, ma'am.
And you know, the trees, I think she mentioned that too, the trees that cover is, you can't even see up in there. You know, kind of make it pretty.
And if I may, Mayor, we even talked about, we do need a signage down there, because no one knows. I mean, everybody passing by, even we used it for playing baseball, and there's this blue sign down there, but we need to make it more presentable, that people do know where's the recreation facility at.
And if you open it, Mayor and Council, if you open it, will the town, the citizens know about it, maybe like a grand opening or something, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
It was a good meeting, you know, but I just want, you know, because I've been passionate about this since day one. You know, sometimes you just get a little discouraged and just drained. But I just want to make it very clear that throughout this term, this is not the first time that we have discussed our parks and our recreation. This is not the first time that myself, and also along with people from the community and other board members, have brought this to our town, to our mayor. So this is not new. This is something that has been ongoing. And I've been preaching it since day one. That change is about prioritization. And if we want to see these things grow and change, we have to start prioritizing. And even when, as a town, as elected leaders, even when the citizens don't do their part, we still have to do our part. Right. And my whole point of that is, we've talked about the rec committee and all the committees that we put in place, but it was come over here, we don't meet. Well, I meet, and that's by saying that I bring it to the board every time I have a concern. I bring my concerns to them, and I've done this since day one. And so, we just have to start prioritizing these things if we want to see real change. And that's also holding people accountable. So, you know, regardless if you have a committee or not, as elected leaders, there has to be a vision. Where is it that we want to see? How, where, when, where do we want to see our town? Where do we want to see our recreation department? So I think that's what it just boils down to. And I'm grateful for the committee, but the committee wasn't elected. There are certain things that we have to do day to day to ensure that these things are done. So I'm grateful that it's back on the table. It's been on the table. And it's my hope and my prayer that we can actually come up with a true action plan, because it's really what our community needs. Everybody in the room know I've been an advocate for it. So I just hope that this is the time that we actually take action. And as I said in the meeting, that you can't talk about growing and getting the best of the best without no money. The same way we fund every other department, police, fire, salaries, all these things that we fund, we have to be able to sit down, look at our budget, and say, let's fund our recreation department, our kids. Now, how that may look, I don't know. But I do know that all things are possible if we just continue to put the work.
Thank you. Mr. Randall, you have
So,
something?
Oh, that's thunder, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we got a grant on with the Keep Kentwood Beautiful. We got a $3,800 grant to plant over at the Mill Park. 2 signs, crepe myrtles, you know, it's very specific, but I'll get that information to you. We're just waiting on the landscape, the parish landscape people to come up. And I talked to Michelle about the fence repair and doing some improvements there, et cetera, et cetera. One of the new things they're doing for parks, instead of having a physical, a bathroom facility that's brick and mortar, they're putting porta potties, and they have contracted that. But there are all sorts of issues over there, and I think one of them is not patrolled, or it's not looked after. So anyway, we do all these things, and then it gets vandalized or it's treated, and that's it. Anyway, I just want to let y'all get that information.
Okay, Mr. Weedy.
So, what is the vision for this town? What is the vision? Have y'all come up with that dream together?
No. I don't think it's.
I guess they can speak on that when the upcoming election, meet your candidates and tell you all about it.
But you and this team is in charge, have our lives in your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what can y'all do for us? What can y'all do for this community? What is the vision? Why should I stay here in Kentwood and continue to fight?
I'm not an elected official.
Well, first of all, one of my visions was to galvanize or bring back both sides of the color spectrum, because there was this vision that there was a black side of town and a white side of town.
Okay.
First thing you have to do before you talk about where we're going is get that in order, so we can cross those divides and work together. And that is what we've been trying to do, or what I've been trying to do, or whoever vision you want. Mine is to get people together who want to see the town grow. One person is not going to do it. Not one individual. And when you talk about, let's go back to the recreation committee.
Exactly.
It was appointed by the mayor.
That's right.
So that means they have some power to do some things and bring it to the table. Let's talk about what we want to do. And if we say that that's not elected, there are 2 elected officials on that committee. So there is some power to come back to the table, which we're going to do on the 9th, to talk about upgrading our recreational facilities, which has been.
So, Mayor, you and I, so you're saying that you and I have not had conversations about things that I have recommended since we started this term about the.
I said committee.
The arguments is not necessary.
Committee.
Exactly.
So now, once again, we're moving. He asked about a vision, so we're. First of all, hold up. I'm in control. Thanks. So whenever we talk about these things, it's not just a one-person thing. we want to lay it all on the mayor, but the mayor is only one person. And it's just as they have jobs, the mayor has a job. So what we're trying to do with this vision, first of all, galvanize people with ideas who want to work together. Then we talk about bringing in companies. And one thing that happens when we have meetings like this, the bickering back and forth, when they see this on camera, that tells people, I don't know if I want to do business with that person.
But who listens off the camera?
One second.
Who listens here on camera?
You're out of order. I'm speaking. I don't interrupt you. I will not allow you to interrupt me. So if some of this is hitting home, it's not just hitting home on one end of the table, it's coming all the way down the road. So now, what we're going to try to do in these last 10 months, and whoever comes behind, we're going to try to leave it in better shape than what we found. I was always taught that. So we're going to have a surplus of money, hopefully. We're going to have some ideas and put it on the table. And we're going to do our best to make sure these last 10, 11 months that we have, to make sure we leave something for our community. Councilman Hall?
Yes. Mayor, Council, my opinion here is a reality check. And we'll take this up with her. It's a reality check. And I understand the young man sitting by me with a vision. I understand Councilman Diamond. But let me give you a reality check that y'all been in office 3.5 years, correct me if I'm wrong. In 3.5 years, I don't think no other administration, and me and Mr. Gordon, we served together 16 years. We went through a hurricane together. Nothing like the past 3.5 years. So when you say you want things done, first of all, you got to still stay in reality. We're still dealing with the pandemic.
Right.
That throwed everything in a wrench.
That's right.
We dealt with a major hurricane. That deal, it's a lot of things I know that this administration wanted to do because I was handicapped. And we've been in a pandemic for 2 years and something. So I feel your pain when you feel that recreation should be. But who you gonna go if you can have $1 million? If I got a company and federal government, state government telling me it's not safe to bring my company in here because somebody want to see something at your recreational park, you can go on and on pointing the fingers at who should have done this, who should have done that. But be reality. Keep it real. Y'all have dealt with some tragedy. You still dealing with it. Trust me. If you learn to work together,
That's right.
and whether it's y'all or somebody else,
That's right.
if you learn to work together and quit pointing fingers,
That's right.
y'all dealing with something that myself in 16 years, Mr. Gordon can speak longer, we haven't had to deal with this. We dealt with one hurricane, and I think we handled it pretty well. There was some bickering, but we didn't get in here. When you got people popping cameras, you got thousands of people see this, and we want to go to pointing fingers at one another.
Sometimes that's what it takes.
That's your opinion,
That's what
Mr.
it takes to
Diamond.
make
That's your
change.
opinion, but let me have mine.
Let it speak, please, sir.
That I'm just saying is, it's a such thing as being professional. And you say about business wanting to come to Kentwood, the news lady over there says the same thing. If I'm out there prospective business sit here and I see all this crap on Facebook, I've sat and watched it for 3.5 years, and basically I've been quiet. But when I come here, a meeting that should have been discussed on some very important issues, we go back to why recreation. Be real. You've been handicapped. You can go all night pointing fingers. You can go the rest of your 10 months pointing fingers, trying to make this one look good, that one look bad. Guess what? When y'all term is over, everybody's sitting back there. They ain't gonna talk about their baits. And if you don't go back, they're gonna talk about each and every one of y'all that didn't do it. Thank you, man.
And then I'll come to you.
Okay.
The record is spoken for me. I pass.
Okay.
The reason that we live stream these meetings is because it's a way to be very transparent with the general public. there's a lot of people that can't make these meetings, that would like to make these meetings. But if you attend other meetings in other cities, you will see that there's a budget set for them to make sure that these meetings are televised. We can go right to the school board, we can go right to the parish council. Those meetings are available. Now, when we live stream it, whatever a person put on there, that's up to them. But this serves as a way for people to hear these meetings. Like right now, there was 80 viewers. So that was 80 people that couldn't fit in here that can see these meetings. So I think with technology, we don't see it here, but it needs to be a part of our, municipality so that we can grow. And that's what any business that would come in there. I was happy to see that the garbage company had an iPad, and if we need anything, we should have a monitor that they can pull up something so that we can see. So technology is very important. So I thank the mayor and the council for getting the laptops. I just wish that what we paid for is in these meetings. So we're not doing this, I'm not doing this to embarrass anybody, but if it gets the job done, it's get the job done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item number 12, declare items at maintenance barn as surplus property, and you were presented a list of 14. Russ, would you mind you don't have to go read one of them, but just want to know how we're going to do the process.
Anyways, we'll put them up as surplus, and then next meeting, I'm assuming we'll do a sealed bid at the next month. But anyway, you can contact City Hall. Anybody that's interested in looking at something, they can set a meeting up with me. I can meet whoever, come down to the maintenance barn. But we just have a few pieces of equipment and some trucks, and it's just stuff that the town just has. Some of the trucks of course, they don't run or anything, so they just not worth putting the money into. So it's just really would be a loss, and it's some stuff we just don't use at all anymore, So, but that's pretty much. Just contact City Hall if there's anything on here, and I'll be glad to meet whoever, show you, and however.
Can I get a motion from the board to declare?
So moved, Mayor.
Been moved by Councilman Hookfin, second by Councilwoman Winters to declare items at the maintenance barn as surplus. Any questions? All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. City Hall will be closed March 1st for the Mardi Gras holidays. We thank you all for coming. We thank you all for Ms. Carrier, thank you for wanting to spotlight all of the positive things that are going on in Kentwood, and we ask that you pray for all of us. Have a great night.
The library donated these books to the council members for their collective reading program. It was a message from Mr. Barry Bradford I was going to give you, but if you check Action 17 News, you should be able to hear the updates on there as well.
That's an excellent book, by the way. Yes, it's very good.
I've heard good things about it.
Read for high school kids.